Hey guys, you're welcome to today's tutorial on Benny Souls. My name is Benedicta, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to draft a mermaid skirt pattern. So guys, for you to have that full circle mermaid skirt, you really need to draft a pattern for it. And for this particular skirt, I'm going to be sharing with you how to draft this pattern. So guys, I've gone ahead to mark this box here. The box you have, I have there is my hip circumference divided by 2 plus 1.5 inch for that intake on both sides. One side for the front and the other for the back side. And I've gone ahead to mark that line over there, which is going to be serving as our waist line and our starting point. So from that particular line, we're going to be taking every other line. So here I'm trying to explain the measurement we have inside the box. So now guys, that is the length. The length of my skirt pattern is 41 inches. Sorry guys, you can't see it from there. It's a very long pattern. So from there, this is our center front and the other side is our center back. So from that particular line, I'm going to be marking my hip length. The hip length I'm working with is 9 inches. 8 inches, sorry guys, that is 8 inches, and I'm going to be marking it across both for the front and for the back. So I'm marking it 8 inches right there. So I'm going to be straight marking uh upper knee measurements. Our upper knee line I have is 17 inches. Depends on where you want your flare to start from. But for the sake of this particular pattern, I'm using 17 inches. It can be 18, it can be 19. Please measure yours and then input your measurements as follows. So I'm marking it across up to the back part of my pattern. So using my straight rule, I'm going to mark out those lines on a straight line across both for the front and for the back. So guys, if you're new on our channel, thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel. We promise to bring you loads and loads of goodies. So here I'm marking out the straight lines on my knee length, upper knee length. So the remaining ones are my full length, of course. So we really don't need to mark anything on that particular side. So moving forward, the next thing I'm going to be marking here is my waistline. The waist I'm working with is 30 inches. 30 inches divided by the waist circumference I'm working with is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. And I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches to it. Adding 1.5 inches, all I have there is 9.25. The 1.5 is that measurement. So from there, I'm going to come up by half an inch. Don't worry guys, later on in the tutorial we're going to realize what we have that half inch for. And then on my hip line, I'm going to mark my hip circumference. So the hip circumference I'm working with is 37. 37 divided by 4, I have 9.25. So I'm marking it right there. Okay, that is it there. So measure yours and then divide by 4 and then mark. And then to mark um knee line, we're going to be deducting 1 inch from there. You can deduct as much as 2 inches, you can deduct as much as 1.5, but for the sake of this pattern, going to be deducting just 1 inch, and then deducting 1 inch, I have 8.25. 8.25 right there. So what I'm going to be doing now is using my straight rule to mark that line from my knee line back to my hip line, which I had already marked earlier. So I'm marking it down there. I'm sorry you can't see that. So I'm going to be showing you that later on in the course of this tutorial. So there we have it. I'm going to be connecting the other dots to the hip line and of course to the waist line. So here we are, guys. Please take your time when you're doing marking your pattern. It is very important. Please do take your time. It is very, very important. So I'm going to be connecting straight to the half of an inch measurements that we came up on our waist line. So here we have our front. We're going to move over to our back and then do the same. So guys, if you notice at the center back of my back, I've gone ahead to mark half an inch inward. You can mark in 0.75. This is the reason why I did that is to eliminate any zip bulge that we might be having at the back part. So from that particular 0.5 inch that I've came in with, I'll be marking my waist measurement, and then of course my dart intake, which is 9.9 inches. And then on my hip line, I'm going to be marking 9.25. Sorry guys, the reason why we don't have this, if you notice, the waistline and the hip line are almost the same thing. That is because the pattern, the measurement I'm working with, the person is not so hippie. And then coming over to our knee line, remember we took off 1 inch from the front, but for the back we're not going to just take it off like that. We're going to be marking our measurements. That's our knee hip measurements, 9.5, and from there I'm going to be dividing the 1 inch into two, marking half an inch of both sides of the knee line. That is for my back now. That so if I measure it there, what I have is 8.25, which is measuring up to what I have in front. So now I'm going to be using my straight rule to mark it out, and then do the same thing for that particular, for the center back as well. So now guys, the next thing I'm going to be doing, using my straight rule, I'm going to connect it back to the original line on at the hem. It's a very simple tutorial guys. Please just watch and see how we're going to do that. It's very simple. And guys, if you're new to our channel, once again, hit the subscribe button. And for our returning subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much for always stopping by. All right, so let's continue. So here I'm marking it back to the original center back line that we'd earlier marked. And I'll connect it to the waistline. I'll do the same thing for the waistline here. I'll be coming up by half of an inch. Half of an inch there. I think it's keeping mind to do that right there, but I'll be doing that later on. So here we have our front and our back basic skirt pattern. So now we're going to be adding our darts. So the darts, okay, there I'm adding the half of an inch. So I'm going to be connecting it back to the hip line and the waistline. There we have it. So guys, the next thing we're going to be doing right now is to determine our dart. The bust span I'm working with is 7 inches, and 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5. And then to measure our dart leg will come up 2 inches from our waistline. 2 inches from my waistline is 6 inches, so that's going to determine the dart depth we're taking. Then I'll make sure I have my 3.5 inch right there, and on both sides of the dart I'll be taking in 0.75 on both sides, since we left out 1.5 for the dart. So we're going to be taking in 0.75 to measure up. Now I'm going to connect it to the dart line over there. So here we have it. It's very simple guys. You can do this. Please replicate this and let me know. You can do this. You can do this. It's very simple, very easy. Okay, just pay close attention and you will get it. For a beginner, you can do it. So here I'm going to be from my 0.75, I'll mark in my that, and then mark 0.75 on both sides. So coming up for the back, I'm coming up by 1 inch. Then from there I'll measure 3.5 there. But since my half of an inch is not there, I'll measure what I have from the original line before coming by 0.75. I have 4 there, and then I'm going to mark it there just to measure up with what we have at the waistline of our skirt pattern. So there I'm going to mark the dart legs to that particular point. I'm marking the that opening to there, and then marking the other dart opening right there. Voila. So here we go, guys. We're done with our dart measurement, dart intakes. So guys, it's looking very good right now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing right now is we're going to make sure this thing is sitting very well on our body. For us to do that, we're going to be contouring the front part of it. So to contour the front part of it, I'm coming down by 1 inch. I'm coming down by 1 inch because it is a skirt pattern, but if it is a gown, I'll be coming down by half of an inch. So before I mark it up to my side line, I'm going to be folding that in permanently. I'm not going to be sewing that on my fabric. So I'm going to fold it in and use my tape um to tape it down to keep it in place so it doesn't move around. I don't intend sewing that on my front fabric. So here we go. I'm going to use my tape, paper tape, to hold it down so it doesn't move around. So here I'm taking my paper tape and I'm going to be holding it down. I don't intend using it anyway, so I'm going to be holding it down. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is using my curve drill to find a perfect curve from that 1 inch um, contour to the half of an inch that we came up with on our waistline. So this is for us to eliminate any form of fold at the waistline. Guys, I'm using one for it for this. It is open. You could use one half 0.5. If you use one and you find out that you're still having folds, please, you can use 1.25. You can use 1.5. But for me, one inch is okay. So here we have it, and then we're almost done with it. So here it's very simple, guys. Please replicate and let me know. So next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to cut it out before working on our back pattern. So I'm going to be cutting. Take your time, guys. Take your time. It's very easy. It's very easy. So I'm going to be cutting it out gradually, cutting it out. So guys, if you have not seen our other videos, please check on it and see what we're up to. And do not forget to subscribe, as it's really important. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a video, you will be notified. And guys, if there's any video you want me to replicate, please do well to let me know in the comment section. And for your questions, I'll be in the comment sections to answer your questions. So here I've gone ahead to cut out the front. Here we have the front done. So moving over to the back now, I'm going to be folding that dart leg inwards. I will sew my dart leg on my main fabric, so I don't intend to keep it just folded down, just to cut it out and then contour the waistline. I'll be folding it in and I'll cut out a waistline. So here we have it. I'm folding it in. So here we have it. So please take your time, make sure the lines are aligned, and then press it down up to the pointed area. There we have it. And then guys, if you fold it in this way, if you notice that the center back is popping up, please come down by 1/4 inch. Just mark 1/4 inch over there, just the way you see me do, in order to make it aligned. Mark 1/4 inch, and then from the half half an inch that we came up on the waistline, I'm going to contour it down to that quarter of an inch that I just marked. So after this, guys, I'm going to be cutting out the waistline for you to see what we did. So I'm cutting out the waistline here. Take your time. It's very important to watch it and take your time. Okay, please guys, watch this video till the very end. So here I'm going to open up. So guys, take note of that particular dart leg. If I had kept it open to cut it out, I'm going to be having a shortage at that particular dart intake. But because I folded it in, it gave me quarter of an inch up, or like a triangular shape. Please always do that when you're about to cut out. Contour your waistline. So next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to cut it out. Then we have our front and our back pattern ready to be manipulated into a mermaid skirt. So here guys, I'm cutting it out, taking my time to cut it out. Here. So guys, for clear understanding, please watch this video to the very end. Watch it to the very end. You will understand what I'm talking about. So here we have at the knee length, I'm cutting it, and then up to our hip measurements, and then to our waist measurements. As you can see guys, I am taking my time to cut this. So the reason why I'm taking my time is that this skirt pattern can be manipulated into different types of skirts that you want to make. It's a basic skirt pattern. So from there, we're going to be manipulating it into a mermaid skirt. Okay. And it's very easy to make. Very easy. So there guys, you have it. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you. So guys, we're almost done with the cutting of our back piece. Here we go. So we have our front and our back piece ready. So here we are. This is our back piece, and of course this the front piece. This is our back. That's our center back and our side back. So we won't miss those things. So that's our front pattern. So for that is our side back. For our center front, please, we'll be cutting it on fold. That particular part you cut on fold. You know your center front doesn't have a form of turning or a form of sewing, any form of sewing. So we'll be cutting on fold. So guys, the next thing that I'm going to be doing right now is to bring my fabric and actually cut it on it. But before we do that, we're going to be contouring this lower part of the pattern into a mermaid skirt. So I'm going to, on the knee line, I'm going to be measuring what I have there. There I have 8.25, and then 8.25 divided by 2 it will have 4.1. So putting my tape measure on that particular part, I will get the midpoint of that particular measurement, and I'll mark it right there. So here we go. I've marked it there. We have 4.1. So from the center front, I'll be marking 4.1 all the way to the hem line. So we can have a straight line 4.1 all the way to the hemline. So using my long ruler, I'm going to connect the dots from the upper knee line to the hemline, like so. So here we have it, and then this is it. So for the back, we're going to be doing the same. We're going to measure what we have there at the upper knee line, And since we have the same measurement for the front and the back, it's going to be the same thing. That is for the upper knee line. So there I have 8.25. I'm marking my 4.1. But for the hem of the back part, it's a very slanty, it's kind of slanty. So we're going to measure what we have there. There I have, I think, 10.5. So dividing 10.5 into 2, I have 5.25. I'm at 5.25 there. And I'm going to use my long ruler to measure from that knee line all the way to that 5.25. So what I did basically was to divide both sides by 2 and then connect the lines. So there we have it. It's very simple, guys. Please try it out and see how it is. For you to achieve that fullness, that round fullness on your mermaid skirt, please, you need to draft a pattern for it. So here, guys, I'm going to be slitting the front pattern into 2 on that particular line. I'll slit it into 2 up to the knee line. So when I get to the knee line, I'll slit it towards the side of the skirt. That is the side of the skirt towards it. The other side, that's the side front. So I'll slit it towards it. That is here to that particular side. So I'm going to be slashing it to 0.25 before the line. So we're not going to slash it out completely. So 0.25 towards the hemline. So this is what we call the slash and spread method for the mermaid skirt. Also, I'm going to be doing that for the back. So for the back, instead of slashing on one side, if you want a tail for the back of your mermaid skirt, you have to slash on both sides of the line. Instead of slashing towards the side back, you also slash towards the center back as well. So that's the side back. I'll slash to that side first because I really do not want a tail for my skirts, though I'll be adding just little of, not too much, not too obvious. It won't be too obvious. So there we have it there. So this is it for the side back. So I'll also be slashing to the side, that is the center back, if you want a tail for it. So guys, the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is bringing our fabric and then we'll cut it on it. So I've gone ahead to pin the front pattern to my fabric. So guys, I'm sorry the lower part of this this pattern is not showing. I actually slashed opened up 7.5 inches. You can do as much as 10, 12, 8, depending on what you want. If you're making a wedding gown, you can even go as much as 14, can go as much as you want, depending on the fullness you want for your mermaid skirt. Okay, you can still even have to slash the other side where we slashed before. You can still slash it again to achieve more fullness, but for the sake of this pattern, I'm going to make use of that particular side. So on my fabric, I'll just add half an inch at the waistline, and then for the side I'll be adding 1.5 inches for sewing allowance on the sides. So that is my 1.5, 1.5 all the way down, 1.5 all the way down. So I'm going to mark that all the way to the hemline. Sorry guys, it's not showing, but later on you will see what I'm talking about. So there we have it. I'm connecting the dots that I made earlier. So I'm going to mark that all the way to the hem. So here I'm done marking it. Here I'm done marking it all the way to the hem. and I'm trying to cut it out. So there I'm cutting it out. Don't worry guys, you will see what I did at the end. I'll show you what I did at the hem of the fabric. So there is my upper knee length. Please make sure you're blending in, no sharp edges. Contour everything properly. So here we're almost done with the front pattern. So after cutting that out, I'll cut out the half inch sewing allowance. So guys, at this particular side here, I this is the part where I actually added 2 inches to the hem. I added 2 inches to the hem there because when it is raised by the side, notice that the side will be shorter than the center front. So I actually added 2 inches at the hem right there in order to meet up with the front measurement. So there we have it. So I'm done cutting out the hem. So there, and then for the spread, I spread just 7.5 inches. So I'm going to be cutting out the half inch at the waistline. So cutting it out right there. There we go. We have our front piece ready. So here's our front piece. So that's the part where I actually added the 7.7 inches, 7.5 inches. Sorry guys, 7.5 inches. I opened up by 7.5. That's why I said you can add, but make it 10, 12, as much as you want. Okay, so guys, for the back, I've gone ahead to pin it to my fabric. Here I have 5 inches for at the center back area, and I've gone ahead to slit it open at the knee line we made earlier. I slit on both sides and I spread it a bit, not too much. So I really do not need a tail for this particular skirt. So I'm going to also be coming down by 2 inches, just the way I did for the front. So here I'm pinning it to the fabric here. So here we are, pinning it all the way around to in order to keep the pattern from moving around. So I'm pinning it all the way around the pattern. So guys, once again, if you're new on our channel, do hit the subscribe button and keep coming back. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. So on the side there, I'm going to be adding 1 inch. Then for the side of my skirt, I'm going to be adding 1.5. Then at the hem, I'll be adding 2 inches and connect it to the center back of my skirt. So at the hem, I'm adding 2 inches down there, marking a straight line from a continuous line from there, and I'm going to be using my hand to connect it to the center back. Okay, and then to the sides I'll be adding 2.5 inches, 1.5 inches, sorry, 1.5 inch. That is for the side back. I'll be adding 1.5 inches all the way to the upper side and then to the hem. Now connect back to that 2 inches I marked earlier. And then for the center back, I'll be leaving 1 inch sewing allowance. So here guys, I am cutting it out. Our skirt is almost done. We're almost done. It's very easy. In less than 30 minutes, you should be done with both the pattern drafting and the cutting on the fabric is very easy, guys. Please do give it a try, and you'll be proud that you did. So I'm cutting it out, following my mark right there. So here we go. So I'm trying to align the hem and then trimming off any excess that will have at the hemline there. So here we go, guys. We're actually done. We're done. It's very easy, very simple to cut. And then at my center back, I left half 1 inch. Then for the side, I left 1.5 inch. So there I'll be notching my hip line and the knee line to actually know where those lines fall. They all look the two sides look alike. So this is it. So there, that notch there. So guys, that is what I am talking about. I actually slashed on both sides in order for me to open up the center back a bit. So on the side, I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance, and then for the center back, I added 1 inch sewing allowance. So guys, thank you for watching this video to the very end. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Please keep coming back to this channel. We promise to always bring you loads of goodies. So guys, we are done with our cutting on the pattern drafting and then cutting on our fabrics. For you that watched all this pattern drafting and cutting to the end, we say thank you and keep coming back.